They weren't from my close friends, but my very close friend, she understood. She's like, you know, you make your money how you want to make your money. You know, I'm not going to judge you. I'm still going to be your friend. She just asked that I didn't ask her to be involved, which I never would push that on someone. So as far as like friends and family, not too much stigma, but the outer people, absolutely. I hear it all day, every day, and it probably won't ever stop. I mean, it's just going to keep getting worse, you know, the more scenes I do. And
well, how do you deal with it? I mean, is it just, do you just ignore it? Do you somehow separate it, just separate that from your life, or how do you deal with that sort of stigma?
I like to say that I ignore it, but deep down it hurts.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Like I'm on Twitter and I post a video or a new scene comes out, and the first thing I do is go read the comments. Yeah. You know what I mean? And I'm constantly Googling myself, Michele James, just like to see what people say about me. I like to read it first off because there's a lot of informative things in comments sometimes. Like when people will say, I don't like it when she does this, I don't like it when she does that. Like they point out flaws that I would never have noticed unless they pointed it out. So it helps me as a performer. But the straight negative things, like just people being dickheads, there's nothing you can do. I mean, you could call them out all day long on it, but it's only going to make it worse. So, you know, I read it, keep scrolling, and I knew from the beginning what I was getting myself into, and I had to prepare myself to deal with the stigma. So
where did you started last year, you started doing more mainstream work. How did you get started before that? And at what point did you decide to even try camming on your own?
Like I said, I started with the ManyVids. That was easy. You just set up the phone and just record whatever and upload it. To go into mainstream, I was nervous, like I said, because I didn't know that I had what it took. But as far as camming's easy. I mean, you just you get your platform, you set the camera up, and you go live.
But what made you decide to take that first step into camming? Like, what was it about? Was it something that you had thought about doing for a while before you did that, or?
Like in the article that I mentioned when I sat down with Bethany, I've been very sexualized from a young age by nature because I was given chest pieces that are a little too big for my own good. So from a young age, I was always looked at as the promiscuous girl. I mean, she has big boobs, so she has to be a slut kind of thing. Yeah. So once I turned legal age to film legally and put it on the internet, I thought, why not monetize off of something that people are already saying about me? If they're already calling me a slut, why don't I take the next step to be a fucking slut and make money? Right. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it was an easy decision, but yeah.
Bethany, what were your when you sat down with Michele? What did you have any preconceived notions of what adult film star was, and then what was sort of the experience once you sat down with her?
Sure. So I do want to say, by the way, this is Facebook Live, so you can, if you have any questions for Michele, feel free to submit them in the comments. I'm happy to moderate those. Now's your chance, people. Do it. So yeah, no, I feel like I need to turn this. Hi. No, I really didn't have any preconceived notions. I too have been very sex positive, and especially in terms of empowering females and taking back, the control of the male gaze. I'm all about it. So I would say that I did not have any preconceived notions, and that talking with Michele was pleasantly refreshing, and really did drive home that what I thought was right. Like these are for the most part, just wonderful people doing the work. And again, my thing, and I hit on this in the article, was everybody watches porn, and yet sometimes they demonize the people that make it, which is some bullshit. Right. So it was really nice to be able to tell a story, to tell Michelle's story, and to be able to get that out there, because she's the perfect example of how absolutely amazing a lot of these sex workers are. So it was very fulfilling for me to do.
Awesome.
Thank you.
And you're welcome. This is very nice. Aww.
I know.
Look it out. So Michele, you started mainstream last year. This year, you went to the AVN Awards for the first time. Is that correct? And
I did.
I don't know if it still stands for Adult Video News. I think it's more just known as AVN. Sorry, some shenanigans off screen. AVN. What was that experience like for you?
Oh, it was chaotic.
Yeah.
I had never been to an AVN, and I wasn't nominated for everything. Obviously, I'm too much of a fresh face. But it was chaotic. I mean, there were so many people, and it was held in Las Vegas at the Hard Rock. So there was already a ton of people there in general just for Vegas. And then you add all these porn stars and cam girls and amateur performers. It was literally, it felt like a giant orgy that everyone had clothes on for the most part. Because, like, you see people and you're like, I've seen you on Twitter. I want to suck your genitals. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's what it felt like. But it was a great time. Like, I was stressed about it for the weeks before we went because you have to have your dresses, your outfits for the convention. Stressful, but now looking back on it, I had a really fun time. And I wish I kind of would have just let loose a little bit. But it was my first one, so I'm sure the next one I go to, I'm going to be a seasoned vet and ready to... It had
to feel comforting, at least a little bit, to kind of be in a community of people that do the same job as you and that have the same sort of outlook at the business as you do. What was that like, sort of meeting? I can't imagine the number of people that you met and the connections that you made.
It was amazing. I mean, it's like I said, for the most part, it's people that we already have the close community with on Twitter or on other social media sites like we heard of, things like that. But seeing them in person and actually being able to hang out with people who understand your life and your lifestyle, fantastic. I mean, literally just an entirely fun time. Like, and I can't even explain like how like happy I was to be there. Like, I didn't have to worry about being judged because I was there with people who do the same thing that I do, you know? And we're all there for the same reason. Like, we're all there because we do porn and because we're being recognized for the hard work that we do put into it. So it was it's great.
I was going to say that was one of the things we touched about the article too, is, you know, sometimes what the industry takes away from you in terms of losing friends and family, it gives back to you with this whole new community of support. And Michele was telling me when we talked, you know, one of her best friends in the world now came through the industry and like couldn't imagine her life without her. So, you know, it does. I think there is a strain, but I think the benefit, not the benefit, but the other side of that coin, is that they do give you this amazingly supportive community.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, we're very tight knit.
Sean on Facebook doesn't have a question, but he said he wanted to say to Michele that you are amazing.
Thank you, Sean.
Sean by video. I mean, you know, put your money where your mouth is, pal.
Pay up.
So,
just kidding.
Just kidding, Sean. I lost my train of thought there. You are listening to the Pittsburgh Current Podcast. We should probably do that. You can find the Pittsburgh Current live online at pittsburghcurrent.com. You can find us on the socials at pghcurrent.com. You can find Michele James on Twitter at Michele James, MiChelemv. Is that correct?
Yep.
Correct.
And on Insta.
And on
Insta as well. So... Michele, let's talk. We talked about this a little bit before we came on, and sort of like how the industry has changed in terms of it's more about scenes now, right, than it is like full films. Or is that sort of, am I saying that correctly, or am I maybe I'm oversimplifying it a little bit?
There's been so many shifts in porn, and it happens every couple years. Like now, the big stretch, I suppose, is incest.
Yeah.
Like that's a really big
like
thing right now. Like daughter, stepdad, you know, MILF and stepson. It's very big right now, but it's one of those fetishes that come around and it's big for a little bit and then it kind of dies off and then another huge fetish or something else will become big. But as far as like scenes versus films, you still have your companies that are producing actual porn films. But the problem that I see is the money that they spend in production, they're not seeing back in sales because of clip sites like Pornhub and Xvideos and Xhamster where pirated content is being uploaded for free. So they're not making the money off of DVDs, downloads, memberships, things like that.
And I will say, too, when I was working on the article, it is almost impossible to try to nail down the economic impact porn has in the United States because they are all independent. We were talking about MindGeek before we went on the air, and you know they own Pornhub, right? They own YouPorn and RedTube. But
they make a lot of money back due to ad ad revenue.
Yeah.
So that's how they make most of their money.
Yeah, but they're not reporting like their economics. Like you can't say like the industry is X big because
absolutely, because a lot of them, a lot of the money you don't realize like how much money is like exchanged in porn in general. Like it's almost sickening how much money is spent on sex, and it's great. It's lovely, but it's like, you're not ever going to find it really published anywhere. Like no one's going to come out and be like, oh, we make $3 billion.
We make so much money.
So how do you, so as you said, you talked about pirated content. So how, there has to be, is there a way that you can protect your brand and make sure that you get your money in terms of, I mean, I don't know about sites like Pornhub. I don't know if at least I think they're supposed to have some sort of, some way to monetize that for the performer. But how do you watch that? How do you prepare for, or how do you take care of your brand?
I know most of my content goes on my ManyVids account. They have, I forget the exact term. Forgive me. I'm sorry. I think it's like a DMCA paperwork or something that you can file. Like say someone does buy your clip for $20 and they turn around and they try to put it on Pornhub. One, you can take the video from them on Pornhub and have it put on your account and you get the so many cents per view. Or you can file with ManyVids that DMCA paper or whatever, and they will take it down. So as long as you file the correct paperwork, they have people that go to these sites and look for the videos and they will take them down for you. That's for like your own privately owned content. As far as like the mainstream production companies, they don't really care because it's a lot of exposure for them. But they usually take it from Pornhub, make sure it's verified that it is their video, and then they get the pay per view for there.
But for that kind of job, you're paid to do the job. You're not,
absolutely, you're paid the rate for the day for the scene, but you don't make any kind of like money off sales or anything like that. You get the one flat rate and that's it. But there's like a big shift right now from mainstream to more content being made amongst performers that I would love to talk about because it's like a big thing. There's so many platforms now and so many ways to make money without ever leaving your house that a lot of people are turning away from mainstream because you're only making that $1,000 a day for a scene and never seeing anything else out of it. When you own your own content, I can make a 20-minute video with the same guy I would, sleep with on set and make money off it forever. Because every day someone's going to buy that video and you're going to make more in the long run, spending more time making your own content. There's a platform called OnlyFans. I know a performer who's a male performer that makes $7,000 a month.
Wow.
Damn.
Uploading videos with a phone or an actual like camera equipment and just girls all natural, hair's not done. Guys just want people, not guys. I shouldn't say guys because guys and girls both consume porn. People want to see raw amateur content. And a lot of it now is so fake with it being in mainstream. It's like, oh, like it's like a performance. Yeah, but like it doesn't feel real. So a lot of people are making a lot more money off private content. And like I said, you don't even have to leave your house. Like I traveled to LA in California to make a couple grand, but if I stayed home and flew these performers into me and made all this bulk of content and released it slowly at a time, I can make money off it forever. You know what I mean? Like I love mainstream because it gives me the exposure that I need. It's helping me build my brand, build my name. And I love shooting mainstream content. I do. But as far as the money aspect, it's getting a lot more concentrated on people making their own content. And I think that's great because it, like I said, mainstream, you have to have a certain look. You have to look a certain way to be booked. With making your own content, you can look however you want to. Male, female, tall, short, black, white. It doesn't matter. You're gonna make money no matter what. So it's like amazing how much money you could truly make in porn without ever leaving your house. Like half the time I get on camera, I don't have makeup on and I'm making a couple $100 a night. You know what I mean? Like guys don't care to see shot stuff anymore when it's more real when you're making an amateur.
Anytime you sort of work for yourself, and for those of us who freelanced before, it's tough sometimes to like be your own boss and to make sure that you're sort of, so I mean obviously you set your own hours, you kind of set your own time, but I think one thing that people don't think about is this is work. I mean, this is a job. This isn't just like, you know, it's
yes, it is work.
It's like, oh, it's easy. You're going for the easy money. I mean, it's fucking work. It's tough to do. And so talk a little bit about that aspect of you know, what it takes to keep motivated and how much do you normally work a week?
I work every day.
Yeah.
Every single day, 24 hours a day, whether it's physically shooting content or whether it's getting on my hundreds of social media sites promoting whatever.
Yeah.
It's a lot of marketing, trying to talk to people, get your face out there. Oh, but it is work. When you do mainstream, like I said, I travel. I leave Saturday for Florida, actually. So I'm going to be getting up at 3:30 a.m., getting on a plane, flying to Florida, and as soon as I land, I start shooting. Wow. So it's be on set by 11, and you shoot all day long, and you come back, and you shave, and you shower, and you eat, and you go back to bed, and you do it all again. It's not like you just come and show up and do what you want.
Right.
Like you show up on set 8, 9 a.m., you have your hair and makeup done by somebody. They pay someone to do your hair and makeup. You leave, you go to set, and you're there. You do your initial interview that says, this is my stage name, this is my real name, I am of age, no one's forcing me to be here. Legal aspects.
Sure.
And then you meet with your male or female performer, whoever you're working with that day, and you sit down and you discuss boundaries. You know here's what I'm okay with, here's what I'm absolutely not okay with, please don't do. And then once the entire crew gets there, you have 4 or 5 people, like camera guys and sound guys and PAs and everyone else like surrounding you, and then you start shooting. And what a lot of people see, obviously, is the finished product. Right. You see 40 minutes and you're like, oh, that's easy. I could fuck for 40 minutes. No, it's not.
Who the hell's saying that?
Exactly.
Some people, Charlie.
All right.
And then, but in the reality of it, you're on set for average 6 to 8 hours a day, and you shoot 5 minutes, you cut, you move positions, you change the camera lighting and all of that stuff. Then you go again for 5, 6, 7 minutes. Right. Your legs get tired from doing all the work you have to do. Then you have to cut again. You're getting water. You guys stop to eat. So it's a job. It really is. Like, it's physically demanding. Like, a lot of people think like, oh, it's just sex. Like, sex is easy. But the positions they put you in, it's literally physically demanding because you have to think about where the camera is constantly. So if you're in a normal position, like, you're not just going to keep your legs closed and just let it, like, whoever go to town. Like, you have to have your body open towards the camera. They have to have the best angles. It is literally work. Like, there's some nights where I go home and I'm physically sore, like all over, and you're sweaty and you're gross, and it is absolutely work. And then you go home and you tweet about your scene, you post on your premium Snapchat a little teaser vids, and it's a 24/7 job. Literally it is. Like, I'm constantly on my phone, on Twitter, on Instagram, on my Snapchat, constant.
Yeah. And I think most of us have probably pulled a hammy or something, doing it for, like, you know, what, you know, sex. I'm saying, right, because I couldn't imagine it for 8 hours. Is what I'm saying. I'm not asking you, Bethany. That's against the code of our office policy.
Our HR department will come down on you like a hammer. I'm our HR department. I'm not going to do anything. For people that are joining us now, I just want to point out we are talking to Michele James, the fabulous Michele James, who you could read all about in Pittsburgh Current Sex Issue. Yes. We're talking about the adult film industry and about sex work in general, and about people's preconceived notions, and how easy it is if you too want to become. Anybody could do it. I mean, although it sounds daunting. I mean, you are a producer, you are a director, you are a content creator. We were having some technical issues.
I'm the light person. I'm the sound person. I'm the footage editor. I'm the marketing person. I'm the social media person. I literally do it all. And like, a lot of people don't see that. They just see like, oh, she recorded this with her phone and it's out there for me to buy. Like, no, you don't realize how much work was put into that beforehand, and how much money was spent, you know, on outfits, sex toys, the lighting, the video cameras, all of it. Like, there's a lot of work. And
I mean, your job is to kind of make it look easy, but it's not.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. I mean, could anyone do it? I guess so, sure, but
absolutely,
could, but I don't think. Well, some people should.
I think
but
I think it's also, like there's no perfect person to do it, like physically,
right. Body but type, it's. I mean, it's a commitment. Like, you don't. I mean, if you just do a little research on Michele, you'll see. I don't know if you've hit 50,000, but you're close to 50,000.
I'm very close. I'm 900.
Help Michele gets 50,000 followers on Twitter. But just
follow her on Twitter. Help her.
Just on at Michele James MV. But also just on Pornhub alone. I didn't go anywhere else. But you have close to 5 million views on your videos. I mean, that's putting in work. I mean, that's not just. I mean, yeah, I guess you accidentally stumble upon someone's clips, but people obviously go on there too looking for you, and that's that takes work on your part to make that happen.
Like I said, that's where the marketing comes in. Like I have to have my face out there. If I post a little like teaser pic for my my Twitter, guys are gonna be like, oh, I want to see like what's under her hands. Pornhub, Michele James, fat, done. Follow, subscribe, done. You know what I mean?
We have a question in the comments, and actually I know the answer to this because we talked about it. Excuse me, I'm just getting over a cold. Somebody wants to know if you ever film with fans. And I know there's a hashtag, and again, this is not safe for work, people. So
not safe for work.
I mean,
Close
it is depending on where you work. If you work at Adult Empire, which is conveniently located in Wexford, as we found out, you could probably listen. There's a hashtag fuck a fan, and it's pretty big, and it trends. And there are some adult film stars that will fuck a fan. And I will let you discuss your thoughts on this.
If you're asking me personally, if I fuck my fans, the answer is no. I do not escort, so there's no way you can pay me for private meetups or services or anything like that. It's completely illegal to start with. It's just not something I want to show my face on. It's not worth the circumstance, or not the circumstances, but it's not worth the consequences to do it. But you can come meet me at the conventions, AVN, Exotica, XBiz, anything like that. Come visit me at my agent's booth, and I'll sign autographs. I'll take pictures with you, things like that. But as far as privately getting anywhere near me for sexual contact, that is a no.
Look, she made me sit this far away from her. No, I was kidding.
I just want to be clear. I don't fuck my fans either. So
I'm on the fence. Call me. No, I'm just kidding. Another interesting thing that came up.
Call me
at Bethany Rowe on Twitter. I have almost 1,300 fans.
Ooh.
I know. Help me get to 15.
Kind of a big deal.
Another interesting thing though that Michele and I talked about when we met was at AVN, just talking about like consent and boundaries. There were fans that would walk up to her and like want to have a picture and like immediately try to grab her boobs or and it's like that's not okay. I mean, it's irritating, right? It's a boundary that they should not cross.
I talk about this all day, every day. Like this is why I love doing stuff like this. I love educating people. A lot of fans don't know that it's crossing a boundary when you do that, because like I said, they see the finished product and they think, oh, she's okay. Like, for example, my bang bus scene. I got picked up by random people in a van and drove around Miami and had sex with a random guy, and they dropped me off in the middle of nowhere.
Air quotes the whole time.
Exactly, the entire time. And I have fans that are like, oh, that is so cool. It's like some random guy just picked you up and you fucked him and he dropped you off in the middle of nowhere. How did you get home?
I'm going to get me a bus.
I'm going to get a bus just like that.
How did she get
It's
home?
a fantasy. That was all scripted. I hate to burst anyone's bubble, but this is the stuff that has to be talked about. It is a fantasy. It's scripted. I knew who I was going to work with. We sat in the van beforehand. They said, we're going to go sit you over here in this park, sit by the tree. When J-Mac comes over, act uninterested, and then after a little bit of convincing, get in the van and do what you have to do. You know what I mean? So when performers don't talk about, like, I don't like to ruin that fantasy for guys, but this is where they get the preconceived notation that it's okay to violate my boundaries when they see me in person because they've seen me do it on camera. Always ask for consent. Always. Like, if you come up to me and just talk to me at the convention, that's fine, but say, hey, Michele, can we get a pic? Absolutely. Michele, may I put my hands on your breast? May I put my hands on your stomach? If I say okay, then you're more than welcome to, but don't just assume that you're able just to come up and wrap your arms around me, because it makes me feel uncomfortable. You know what I mean? It's always, 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 always ask every single performer for consent every time. I don't care if you've met the girl 60,000 times at conventions or whatever else. Ask her every time, because maybe that day she's having a bad day and she doesn't want to be touched. Right. You know what I mean? Just don't assume that because we do porn that gives you consent to our bodies, because it does not.
And I actually have a question that did not come up when we talked, but now I actually am curious about it. So when you are having sex like outside of work, is it different? I mean, is it, I mean, I'm assuming it is, but I'm just, I always like joke, like I would never want to marry a gynecologist because when they come home, they're probably like, oh God, honey, if I see one more,
I'm going to throw up.
Yeah, like I can't, I've had it. I've had 27 on my face today. I mean, is it like, just, if you don't mind, or if that's your personal, you don't have to talk about it. So.
This is where porn has changed me in a way that I'm glad that it did. Before I got into porn, I was a slut. Obviously, this is why I do it now. But I would sleep with anyone. I'd get on Tinder, random hookup. What's your address? I'm coming. Let's go. And then I would leave. You know what I mean? Tons of random hookups. When I got into porn and realized the danger of hooking up with people who are not tested and not using condoms, oh my God, it almost scared me like half to death. Because doing porn, we get tested every 2 weeks. Every 2 weeks, we have to go to a draw center. They take our blood, they take a urine sample, and 2 days later, we have results that goes into a pass system, is what they call it. So if any of the performers I want to work with, or even the companies or producers can pull my test, they know that I'm clear from, like I just got tested yesterday, my results will be in tomorrow. So from tomorrow to 2 weeks following tomorrow, I'm clear to shoot with anyone else who is clear. So that's how we prevent the spread of STDs in our industry. So now if I'm not actively shooting, I usually don't have sex because it's, it's hard with people that I've previously hooked up with before porn to go get them tested.
Yeah.
Guys always give you the spiel. I don't like using condoms. I'm allergic. It doesn't feel good.
So many guys allergic to condoms.
I know, right?
Really
but then
weird.
they wear latex gloves and all of a sudden no reaction. Weird. But yeah, if I do have sex outside of actual porn, it's usually with a tested performer off camera for content, whatever. And it is better because porn has given me such sexual confidence that I never had before. I'm comfortable doing it, and it's fun doing now because like I know how to do everything. I've done a lot of things in porn, and I'm comfortable doing it all. So it's definitely made sex a lot better. I don't go as crazy as I do on camera.
Right.
I'm not gonna ride you for 10 minutes just because I do it on camera. I'm gonna lay in missionary and you're gonna do the work. But it does get a lot better, yeah.
Talk about the fans a little bit, which we had some folks ask. Do you have like some loyal customers and loyal fans who buy everything you do or follow you around the country, which might be a little creepy, but
first of all, I want to say that I love all of my fans. I did kind of shout them all out on my premium Snapchat yesterday. I very, 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 very much appreciate my fans, and everything I do is to please my fans, because at the end of the day, if it wasn't for people saying she's hot and I want to pay to see her naked, I wouldn't be where I was at. So thank you if you're a fan. What was the question? Shit.
I don't know. What did you say? Oh, creepers. Do people follow you around?
The guys that buy all my content. Yes,
Yeah,
I have.
yeah. Sorry.
I have specific fans that have bought every single one of my ManyVids videos. They bought my premium Snapchat. They're subscribed to my OnlyFans. They buy a subscription for every website that I'm ever on. I do have some very loyal fans, but that's not, in my opinion, you don't have to buy every single thing that I ever make to be a fan. If you buy one video, you retweet my thing on Twitter, you're a fan.
Right.
And I honestly appreciate all of it, because I have a ton of fans that have bought my premium Snapchat, and that's the only thing they'll ever buy because they don't have the means to do so, and that is perfectly fine by me.
Yeah.
You know.
Have you had any instances of either fans or whomever kind of crossing the line, and how do you deal with that?
Yeah, it actually just happened to me the other day. Someone on my premium Snapchat who just got added like a couple weeks ago found my personal Facebook account and absolutely made me nauseous. And I wanted to like cry myself to sleep, delete my Facebook. That is I think one of the only times that I've ever had someone like cross any boundaries. Like, it's not okay.
So how do you deal with that? What do you do? Do you confront them about it, or do you just try and hope it doesn't go any further? Or
well, I did indefinitely remove him from all my social media accounts. It's a safety issue. Don't ever do it.
Yeah.
I confront this a lot because a lot of guys forget that we are performers. Like, we're actresses and actors, you cannot get to know us. We're not out to fall in love with every one of our fans. And it's really heartbreaking because I know a lot of guys do really like me and, you know, they would not want nothing more than to be married to me. And I understand that completely. But we are performers. We're actors and actresses. We don't want to get to know you. A lot of the guys say, I want to know your real name. What's your real name? I want to know the real you. You don't have to know my government issued name to know me. Like, this is me right now. Like, I'm going by Michele James, but this is who I am. I am Michele James. It doesn't matter if I'm here shooting in California, Florida, or sitting on my couch. I'm still me. So when you talk to me on any of my social media platforms, you're getting to know me. You don't have to know private, personal details about my life to know me.
Yeah, I think I think everybody sort of in this relationship has to know the boundaries. It's about fantasy. It's about, you know, it's about, for you, it's about, you know, monetizing your gifts, and for the client or for the customer, it's about the fantasy. And then for you too, I imagine it's a bit about the fantasy as well.
Oh,
but
absolutely.
Sometimes people, I guess, just don't know when to just know your role and just sort of stay in position. And
and in my personal opinion, that's what I like about doing porn. It's a fantasy.
Yeah.
Guys see me on Pornhub or they see any of my content ever, and they're like, wow, I like really want to like have a chance to sleep with her, touch her, whatever, like be in her presence. And oh my God, it turns me on. It does. Like, I love that people watch me, and I love that people physically get off to me. I love it. But at the same breath, if I turned around and slept with all of my fans because they were fans or because they paid me, the fantasy goes out the window. Sure. Why would they pay to watch my content if they've already slept with me? Right. You know what I mean? And it just, like I said, it turns me on so much more to know that they can't have me. And oh God, it's just, it's like, it's just the fantasy. And that's why I don't sleep with like fans. Like, I have no problem talking to you. We can chill, like Snapchat back and forth. Cool. But like, as far as ever touching me, it's very slim to none unless you're a tested talent in the
get
industry.
into porn if you want to get with this. Is basically.
And don't ask me how, because I'm not here to give advice.
This question just popped in my head. How many dick pics do you imagine that you've been sent since you started in this business? Oh God, it's got to be hundreds.
Do the numbers in the world go up that high?
This is time for the Donald Trump meme where he goes billions and billions and billions, because every single day, and on my premium Snapchat, you know, for anyone listening, if you do like sending dick pics, buy my premium Snap. I'm okay because I'm consenting. Yeah, sure. Because I'm showing you my body, and I'm okay with you showing yours to me. Right. If I'm just on Twitter and I get a DM that's like, hey, Michele, you're beautiful, and I'm getting ready to respond, and then bloop, picture pops up and it's your wiener. I don't want to see your wiener unless I ask for it. Honestly, I don't. Like, I don't understand what comes into guys' heads. Like, oh, I don't know this girl, but she'll love this. Which angle should I get this at? Like,
some of them need to work harder on that.
Oh my gosh! Thing, like, I don't understand it.
Yeah, like, you know, you could delete those and retake them.
I know.
Again. Angle and lighting is key.
But yeah, I get a ton of dick pictures a day.
One thing that I did want to bring up that we did talk about that I think is really interesting, and I want to make sure we talk about it before we run out of time, is what an incredibly passionate advocate you are for making the industry better, right?
Absolutely, like every day.
Yeah, like the one thing I said was, you know, what's one takeaway that you would like our readers to have? And basically she said, but you know, that's what you're doing, right? Like, she said, I want to leave the industry a better place than I found it. So would you mind just talking about that briefly?
I'm out to end the stigma around sex workers. And I know I'm just one person, but the more I do things like this, I had a sex education talk on my premium Snap last night. Like, I want to educate people about this industry and make it so it's more widely accepted, because like I said, when we sat down, everyone has sex. Either you're masturbating, you're physically sleeping with someone, you're watching porn. It doesn't matter. You're doing sex work, whether you like it or not. And anyone listening or anyone ever is one step away from being in sex work. So when you're sleeping with your husbands and your wives, you are just a camera away from being in my shoes, honest to God. Yeah. And there's no reason to judge sex workers for doing something we all do. Just because we choose to monetize off of it does not mean that we should be outcasted to society. It's ignorant. So I like doing that part on educating against the stigma, but I also like changing the actual porn industry for the better. We've had problems in the past, like this is before I have gotten into porn, but I see it all the time, girls advocating for it on Twitter. There's been times where girls are assaulted on set, right? Just ignorant things like that. So we're getting into a swing of trying to create checklists and trying to educate producers and other talent. And we're trying to make a checklist that says every time you show up on set, whether you have worked with this person one time, never, or 1,000 times, you fill out this checklist that says, here's my stage name, here's today's date, this is what I am okay with for you to do to me today. And then on the other side, this is what I absolutely do not want you to do to me today. And I want it to be more widely used where the producers are seeing us write this down. Everyone is present in the room when this is happening. Yeah. So after you write it down and everyone discusses it, say for me, like my biggest thing is if I'm just doing a boy-girl scene, do not touch my butthole. Like don't penetrate it. Yeah. Like do whatever you do, like rub it, whatever. I'm not gonna get too graphic, but do not penetrate my butthole. So if I'm sitting in a room with the producer and the talent and everyone else who's gonna be physically on set when the sex is happening, to know that, say we're doing the scene and not by accident, but say the guy gets too into it and tries to shove his area in. The fact that I did that checklist and everyone was present, the producer is able to see it happening. I know it's happening. The guy knows it's happening. So everyone calls cut. So there's no gray line. So no one can leave set that day and say, well, I was violated. Right. Well, why didn't you say anything on set? You know what I mean? And I'm not saying that obviously you're not going to speak up about it then if you're afraid to use your voice, and that's perfectly fine. But if, like I said, if it was more black and white, where the producer knew that it was violating your boundaries, that's how porn becomes a better place. Right. When everyone is educated on what you can do and what you can't do, so no one's boundaries are violated. That's all I want to do, is make sure that when people go to set, they have a great sexual experience, the product turns out amazing, and everyone goes home happy with their paychecks. That's all I want. I'm so tired of seeing girls on Twitter, you know, saying I want to quit porn because XYZ. I hate seeing that. And that's where the stigma starts. That's why people don't like sex workers. Oh, you raped someone on set. This is what your industry is. No, it's not. There's people like me who advocate for a better industry every single day. And it starts with yourself. So every time I go to set, that's the first thing I do is advocate for boundaries. I sit down with a male talent. What are you okay with? Okay, you're okay with all that. What are you not okay with? What don't you want me to do to you? And that's how you change the industry, one at a time. And more that I do this, say the last male talent I work with never done that before. Now maybe next time he's going to go to set and be like, hey, you know, Michelle was asking me what I'm okay with and what I'm not okay with. Maybe I should ask the girl I'm working with today if she's okay with and what she's not okay with. You know what I mean? Yeah, it's amazing. It's so powerful. I want to
get up and be like, preach, but I'm stuck in this couch. But just know inside, I'm like, preach.
Yes.
Looking at the clock on my phone, I didn't realize we'd gone for almost an hour.
We're almost an hour in. Oh, my God.
This is the Pittsburgh Current Podcast, and you have been listening to Michele James, adult film star and genuinely delightful person. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you guys
and we
so
keep
much
going
for having
if we,
me.
You know.
I know. We might have to have a part 2 or something at some other time.
Anytime. Anytime you want to bring me back for a part 2.
We'd love to do that. And pick up Pittsburgh Current Sex Issue on stands this week. You can get it online at pittsburghcurrent.com. You can check out our socials at PGH Current. You can check out Michele James on her socials at Michele James MV. That's Michele James MV. And this has been a very fun and enlightening episode of the Pittsburgh Podcast. Thank you to Sorgatron Media, and have a great week.
Bye.
Bye.